This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? Is your boy. Welcome to the shoot around, ladies and gentlemen, sponsored or presented by SeatGeek. You can use the code NBK and get $20 off of your first purchase. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk a little bit about last night's game. How you feel today. I know I usually do this earlier in the day, but it just wasn't going to be able to happen today. We're going to talk about it anyway. We got Steph. We got No Take Nate in the building. I know he doesn't like that name, but I like that name. I think it's funny. He'll probably get on me when we get live and all of that good stuff. And you hear my dogs trying to get in on the show. I guess they got some takes about the Knicks game last night because the Knicks were dogs last night. But anyway, let's get to it. And, I got a question I want to ask. Did the Knicks put the league on notice? Did they send a message to the league? That's what I want to know. But before we even get to that, let's bring Nate, let's bring Steph into the building. And I want to get your thoughts now that you had time to sleep on the game and listen to people talk about it for the entire day. Steph, what's going on with you? How you feeling this evening?
Hey, Sim. Hey, Nate. Chat. I'm feeling pretty good. You're right, Sim. Sleeping on it, it does give you perspective. After you listen to everybody and then you sleep on it, I'm feeling really good about the Knicks. I do think we put the league on notice. We look really good. And I think that with some adjustments here and there, we'll be able to overcome the perimeter defense. I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I want to talk a little bit more about the perimeter defense. That's always, I think, going to be a topic of discussion this season. And there's some other things from the game that I want to get to as well. But Nate, I know you didn't even get a chance to talk to us last night.
Hello, everybody. It was a good game. Like I was telling you off the show, Mitch, I was very impressed with Mitch's defense. I thought he held his own with Joel Embiid. You could definitely see the difference in his size and the muscle he has. He wasn't getting pushed around at all. In fact, he was kind of pushing Embiid around and wearing him down. So I love to see that with Mitch. Just imagine when he gets his, gets more conditioning under himself and all that, he's going to be really good to go, and hopefully he stays healthy. Overall with the game, I was impressed with the Knicks, but let's be honest, the Sixers have a lot of issues right now. And I think the Knicks caught them at a good time. They have a lot of internal and external issues they're dealing with the whole Ben Simmons thing. You could just tell they just don't look like they're very focused right now. And Embiid's having to do everything. And, if Embiid wasn't taking a shot really outside of Danny Green, nobody was really helping. Maybe Tobias Harris here and there. But this team's got a lot of issues. And with the whole Simmons thing, it's a mess. So I think the Knicks just took advantage of a very wounded team and really, played really good defense and shot the three at a high clip.
Yeah. We didn't take as many threes last night as we had been taking, for the first 3 games of the season. I think the first 3 games of the season, we were taking about 47 threes per game. Last night, we took 37 threes. We shot it well. In that second quarter, we went on a 20-6 run, which really kind of blew the game open. And eventually the Knicks took a 27-point lead. I do want to ask you, Steph, just looking back at the game, the Knicks had a 27-point lead, and it actually got dwindled down to 12 when the Knicks played the Orlando Magic, and they jumped out to a 36-point lead. They let the Magic get back into the game and, make it a 15, 16-point game or something like that. Do you have any concern about the Knicks' ability to close the deal when they have these leads? Or is it just that the game is played at such a high pace and a high speed, it makes it very hard to keep these leads? What do you think?
That's a good question. It is a game of runs. So, yeah, I mean, they'll cut into the lead, but they cut it down significantly, right? So it's a difference between like it's a ebb and flow. It's a game of runs. We had a 36-point lead. They was able to get it down to 28 or 26 before we came back 12. From 27 to 12. Like, so yeah, there definitely is some concern. And especially when you come up against a team that has firepower, they'll be able to take it a bit further than Philly and the Magic was able to do, right?
Right.
So I think that's the time. It's kind of hard though not to let up. That's the time the really good teams to just, ramp it up a little bit and put a team away. And I think we're still learning that.
Yeah, yeah. And how do we? I guess is it just experience that helps you to really learn, how to put a team away? Is it something that the Knicks can do, mentally, to prepare to capitalize on those leads or keep those leads? A 36-point lead is not going to last. Right. There's almost no way, in my opinion. Most of the time, sometimes it will last. But most of the time, a 36-point lead is not going to last. It's going to get cut down. But 12 is close. Yeah, I mean, 12 is within a run. You know what I mean? Well, it was a 27-point lead. Still, a 27-point lead to a 12-point lead. That's a lot, and that's within a run. What can the Knicks do to make sure that they don't give up these leads?
I think it may be up to Tibbs to nurse it a little bit. I don't know how many timeouts you get, but, as they begin to cut into the lead because they can't do it themselves, he may need to call timeout and remind them, listen, we got to step it up. We can't rest. I mean, I think if you ask them to a man, they'll be like, yeah, we know that, when we get up, we got to do the, but in the moment, they're not able to do it right now. And I think the coach can step in, call a timeout and remind them, listen, the next 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever's left in the quarter, this is what we need to do until they're able to do it on their own.
Yeah. Nate, you want to chime in on that real quick? I do have something I want to say to that, but do you want to chime in there real quick?
Yeah, for me, when watching the game, it was two things. First off, I think Tibbs left the bench in way too long. He didn't have any starters out there. And usually when you watch games where you're up a lot of points and you put your bench in, it's very hard for the bench to maintain the lead. They're not used to playing those long minutes, especially without the starters. So I think if Tibbs if he starts seeing a run coming with this other team, just maybe put a starter in there to help with the cohesion. And then on top of that, the bench just has to play better defense. Let's just be real. The defense was not very good when that bench was in there the whole time. So that's when Philadelphia took advantage of it. I mean, they're a team that they got pride. They're gonna make runs, and the Knicks defense has got to step up in those situations when your starters are on the bench.
Yeah. One thing that Steph said that I'd like to kind of point out is looking at smaller increments when teams start to make a run. I like doing that. As a coach myself, I like to do that. If a team has a big lead, or if you're trying to protect the lead or something like that, breaking it down into smaller goals, I think is very, very effective. Because now, you don't have to look too far ahead. You can look right here. So I think that's a very good strategy. If you see a team is, starting to chip into your lead, and really chipping into it big time, you call that timeout and say, okay, we need to win the next 3 minutes.
Right.
Tibbs kind of did that last night. I think he took a timeout when it got down to 20, and I think he took another one maybe when it got down to around 15 or 13. So we did do those in increments. But again, you only have so many timeouts, and if the game gets closer, you need to have those timeouts for other situations. So he can't call a timeout every time it gets down 10. But I think he did a pretty good job of doing that. It's just the reality is the bench has got to play better defense. If you're going to put all those guys out there and you're going to set your starters, you expect your defense to hold the lead.
Well, I think the hard thing is this. When you're up 27 points, you're probably going to play a little bit more of your bench, let your starters rest, let your Derrick Rose guys and Julius Randle rest a little bit. But guess what? The 76ers, they're trying to get back in, so they're going to play their top dogs.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then it's a little bit tougher for that bench. They're bench players for a reason. It's a little bit tougher for that bench to compete at that higher level against, a starting team. You seen last night when the Knicks went on a big run in the second quarter or third quarter, whenever, I think maybe it was the second quarter, and Doc Rivers brought Tobias Harris back in the game. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, is Tom Thibodeau now going to bring Julius Randle in to match Tobias Harris? But he didn't. Instead he said, hey, I'm going to let the bench run with it. I'm going to let those guys rock with it. And, of course, they did a good job in that second quarter. After Emmanuel quickly dropped Tyrese Maxey, the Knicks went on a 20-6 run, to end the half. But that's what happens. I think Steph pointed this out a couple of shows ago on the Queens Court. We talk about our bench being really good, which I think we do have a good bench. But when you have a team like the Bulls, who people say, well, they don't have that good of a bench, that means that their starters are going to play more minutes, and their starters are going to be playing against bench players.
Right.
And, if you have starters that have good endurance and they can go for a lot of minutes, that could be effective for them. If those guys can be effective, if Lonzo Ball can be effective for 38 minutes and he's playing, 10 or 12 of those minutes against bench players, that could be effective for them. So it is hard to hold a lead in the NBA.
Yeah,
and with,
that's why.
The game being so fast paced and threes going up at a record pace, it's crazy. The Knicks broke their franchise record in making 24 threes, 25 threes, or whatever it is. I think they're going to break that record again this year.
Yeah.
Easy.
Sure.
Easy. I wouldn't put it past them to make 30 threes in one game. Really. You know what I mean? Nate, go ahead. You were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's all about philosophy too. I know when I would coach kids, I would always be fearful of putting my whole bench in if we had a big lead. So I would always kind of put a starter in there along with the bench players. If I put the other players as from the bench, I'd always keep a starter in that lineup just in case, somebody can score the basket in case the bench is having trouble making baskets. So I think with Tibbs, it's just a minor tweak. Like instead of putting all five starters, all bench players and the starting and the five, maybe bring in Evan or something to help get you some buckets in case, your bench is not getting you points. Because one thing I noticed in that game is when the bench was in that time when they were in the game at that time, they weren't scoring a lot of buckets and they were not playing very good defense. Hence why the Sixers came back in the game.
Yeah, well,
so maybe having a guy like Evan Fournier, maybe even RJ Barrett, just throwing somebody. You don't have to throw Randall. You can give him rest, whatever. But just having somebody who can get in and just try to get some buckets or somebody you can go to.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think that's going to happen, whether it be the bench or the starter sometimes, because in the second quarter, it's the bench who broke it open. You know what I mean? They broke the game open for us. Let me get to this phone call here, and then we'll get back to it. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Sim, it's Bree. What's good?
What's good with you, man? How you feeling?
Thanks for taking my call. How you doing, Steph? How you doing, Nate? I'm a big fan.
How you doing,
man? I just want to talk about two players on our team after watching the game again.
Okay.
And sorry, my phone was bad last night, but RJ and Randall, my whole thing this year, Sim, is I'm looking at three things. Better awareness on the court of where the second defender is for Randall, and just better awareness generally of where you are on the court and what you're doing. Making the simple play, not making the home run play. This is not baseball. And number three, making quick decisions while being under control. Sim, as a basketball coach, I want to get your take on the last one. Is there anything you can do as a player, other than just playing the games constantly? Is there certain drills in practice that you can do to make quicker decisions, but at the same time being under control when you make quicker decisions. Because I think you can do both at the same time. You can be patient, but also go quickly and under control without turning it over or running over two guys. Is there anything you can do other than film study to develop that?
It's tough. I think it's hard to imitate game speed in practice, right? So you can do a lot of things. You can have, Julius Randle, say, for example, penetrate and have 3 and 4 guys, crash in on him and have him make the right pass and make the right reads and practice him making those reads in instead of going 5-on-5 full court, going 3-on-3. Right? And practice making those reads. But still, it's practice speed, and game speed is going to be a little bit different. And in the game, they're always going to throw something at you that's new or a little bit of a tweak here, tweak there. And it's never going to be exactly the way it is in practice. I think film study is so effective in this area right here. Because you watch a team and you get to see it from a distance. When you're playing and you see it happening is so different than when you see it on the screen, right? When you're playing, it's fast. When you're on the screen, it looks slow, so you can break it down, you can stop it, and you can see it. And then it helps you to be able to see it better when you're in the game. I like to do with my players, when I do film study, I'm pretty sure the Knicks, every other team does it as well. Is I like to look at whatever the play or the adjustment is and then go right to the basketball court and do it. Because
like right after you watch it on film, like literally watching film and literally doing that in practice that same day.
That same second. There's been times when I've literally had a projector with a screen and, we would watch a play and then we'd go right to the court and practice that adjustment. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's fresh in their minds. It's right there. They just seen it happen. It's fresh. And then you can boom. You can go do it right there. And I think that's the best way to practice it is situational, having situational basketball in practice. You know what I mean? And people underestimate that.
And I hope they're doing that. I mean, it's just my whole thing, man, is just being under control but making quick decisions. Like RJ is so important to this team, and I love how he's playing defense, and I love when he attacks the basket. Make no mistake about it, we need RJ's penetration this year. Even when RJ's not finishing, I'd like him to finish, but that's important for this team to have another guy and everyone on this team to drive. Even when Kemba was Kemba had a great game last night, but the first 6 minutes into the game, I rewatched it. Kemba wasn't scoring, but he at least was attacking the rim like Elfrid Payton was last year. Kemba got to the cup. He was getting blocked. He's been getting blocked like you mentioned all show yesterday, but we need that penetration. So RJ does give us that element. I need RJ to make better decisions. That is film study. With Julius, though, it's the quicker decisions because he's the one that's drawing the double sim. Yeah. Sometimes last night early in the game, Julius didn't even see that second. He almost got blocked on one of them right at the elbow, where he didn't even see the guy, and he just chucked up a shot that was like Carlton Banks in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I think Julius, I'm so proud of him. I'm happy he's on this team. He's a hard worker. But it's that literally that extra 1 or 2 seconds if he can just process the information. And you're right, Tim. It mostly is film study and just translating it. And maybe that's what the Knicks have to do. Once you watch the film, just go out and do it right that second. And yes, the games are the only way you learn because they will always throw something a little bit different at you like the Hawks did. Maybe some teams hold stuff just for the playoffs because I didn't see that quasi-zone much last year, maybe in the regular season. Did we really see it in the regular season, the quasi?
Not by the Hawks. The first time that I seen it was with the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want Julius to be ready for when it really matters, okay? I mean, these games are good trial runs. obviously I want to win every game and go 81-1, but at the end of the day, it's about getting Julius mentally prepared for 7 games. He's in the best shape of his career. Julius Randle's in incredible shape.
Yeah, he is.
It's not physical with him. Yes, he's a bigger guy, and sometimes he can collide over 2 guys. I get a little worried. He's not the greatest ball handler. This, to me, is all mental with him. If he can just process it a little bit better, I think we can go far this year, because I don't know if Kemba is sustainable. Mitch is sustainable. If we just got to keep him healthy, Sim. We just got to keep Mitch healthy. I have a panic attack every time he falls. So I had a panic attack watching the replay of the game when he fell to the floor. But it's just I appreciate your time. I don't mean to hold up the whole show, but my whole thing when watching it is just RJ and Randall, if they can just have better awareness, make quicker decisions, and make the simple play, I think we will win in the playoffs this year. That's all I got, man.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Spree, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
All right. What do you think, Steph? Anything else that you can do with Randall to help him to process some of these things and make those quicker passes out of the double team? Or does it just take that experience?
I think it just takes experience, but I think the other thing also is that's something Tibbs is focusing on him with, because if they're not making it a point, then he probably thinks that it's okay. Like I've never heard Tibbs say, in a press conference or whatever, we just got to get the ball moving faster. We got to get, Julius doing A, B, and C. And once he does that, the team will go to. So I don't even think it's an issue. For them, I don't even see that as something they're working on. I mean, unless it's internal. I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, right. Haven't heard anything about it either. So I don't know. Go ahead, Nate.
So, watching the games, I do see the ball stick with some certain players on this team. Like I've seen it stick with Randall. I've seen it stick with Fournier at times, where they allow either the double team to come to them or they allow them to get covered, and they kind of hold on to the ball and then either throw it to somebody else like a hot potato. And you could just kind of tell in that possession, it just doesn't look good. It's either a chucked up shot or the shot clock's going down and they have to take the shot. So I'm not saying I see that all the time, but from the games I have seen, I do see the ball stick to certain players sometimes. And I think that they should look at that in practice and be like, we got to keep this ball moving. We got to keep the defense working, because obviously if the ball's not moving, you're making the defense job a lot easier. And as far as Randall, I'm a little surprised that, Randall saw this in the playoffs. He knew this quasi defense, his double team, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. He saw a lot of this in the playoffs. And I would expect him to adjust this better now that we're in a new season. Now, maybe he's still kind of taking it all in. Maybe he's still not used to it because he's never been a double team player or a player that's ever been double teamed. And he's going to see a lot more of this. So maybe it's just the maturation, like you said, of the season, and he just gets better at making quicker decisions. But I'm a little surprised that he hasn't kind of figured it out already, because he saw that all in 7 games of the playoffs or 6 games of the playoffs.
Oh, Steph, I think you muted, Steph.
I hear what you're saying, Nate, but again, I don't even think he sees that as a problem. Like, I think we're on the outside seeing it as a problem. Right. I don't think he sees it as a problem. And I think the other thing, too, is this is the NBA. Like, the ball is going to stop somewhere. It's not going to be pass, and as soon as you touch it, shoot it. It just doesn't happen doesn't happen that way, especially when you have ISO players on your team. The ball is going to get to them. If somebody is wide open, sure, but they figuring, all right, they passed it enough. I got it now. It's time for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can definitely overpass in a game. I totally agree with you. But like, all I'm saying is like, and I don't know the exact stats on this. Sim, you can help me if possible. Where do we rank in assists right now for the season? I mean, are we still like we're on the bottom?
No. We're definitely not on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get you those exact numbers in a second. But go ahead and finish what you're saying.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, I'd like to know where we rank in assists. I know. Last year, we had issues at times of moving the ball around, and we were low in assist. So depending on how we are now, in as far as the assist. I'm just saying there's times I look at this offense and I feel like when
Top
it gets
10.
really top 10, okay. Well, I feel like at times when it gets stagnant and we don't score buckets, it's because the ball sticks to one person and there's not enough movement, and we have to take 4 shots, or we have to take shots at the shot clock, and it's a bad shot, or we take a bad shot. I mean, but again, that's similar with all NBA teams. I'm just saying that I don't think it's a huge concern, but I think it's something they need to work on. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
I mean, listen, the ball moved well a lot yesterday against Philly as well. So
Right.
we got to hit shots. The ball can move and you miss shots. The ball can get stuck and you make shots. We got to make shots. And not only that, we're not a great defensive team. Definitely not like last year. So our
That defense
offense.
was really good
No,
early
I'm
on to
talking
the
about
bench.
overall. I'm not talking
Oh.
about Chicago. I'm talking about overall. We're not as good a defensive team as we were last year. So that means that on the days when our shot is not falling, it's going to be more of a grind. It's going to be more of a struggle. If we had that defense we had last year with the offense this year, we on another level. But we don't. We got, the defense is not terrible, but it's not what it was last year. So our offense really has to come through for us.
Yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, Shoot Around is presented by SeatGeek. Use the code NBK to get $20 off of a $50 purchase if it's your first purchase. And if you're slick, you probably make another email and make it your first purchase, I know people do that. I don't know if I want to put that out there. SeatGeek might get mad at me. I don't know.
Flag number 1.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, call into the show, 516-405-2246. Let us know what you thought about last night's game. And I want to talk about Kemba. Last night I said, and I don't even know how the chat responded or if they thought anything about what I said. But I said that what Kemba Walker did, I didn't think was sustainable. Right? Because it was all mid-range. It was all 3-point shots and mid-range shots. And, I'm still kind of believing that. I want to see him get to the basket and convert getting to the basket. Even if he's pulling up the jump shot in the paint, I'm cool with that. I don't know. Do you think, Steph, that we can see, we'll start to see him getting to the basket more, converting in the paint, or is it that Kemba right now in his career is going to be, I'm just kind of pulling it up and trying to knock down mid-range?
Yeah, I have to look at the game again, but there was a couple of possessions where he tried to drive, and whoever was guarding him was able to cut him off, and he
Right.
had to step back, and that's tough because if he's relegated to just being a 3-point shooter, then when you're on, but when you're not, you're not. So. That's gonna be tough. I don't think that is sustainable if it's just gonna be 3-point shoot, especially off the dribble. Like if you're catching and shooting like RJ is doing, yeah, I mean that's sustainable. You get an open shot, yeah. But creating threes off the dribble, no, that's not gonna be
Right. And
sustainable.
he's never been a bad 3-point shooter, but he's never been a, knockdown 3-point shooter. That's not to say that he can't become one. Because remember, Derrick Rose was never a 3-point shooter, and he's been shooting like 44% from 3 since he's been with the Knicks in his second stint, which, is almost kind of amazing for me, that he's become such a good 3-point shooter. It's almost to the point when he pulls up, I'm like, oh, he's knocking it down. So maybe he can become that. Let's listen to Kemba Walker, then I'm going to come back to you, Nate. And I want to get your thoughts on Kemba. Can he give us that again? All right, this is Kemba Walker after last night's game, ladies and gentlemen.
Kemba, a couple of Julius and Tom both talked about that after the game on Sunday night, you guys basically knew from there that it was going to be a different team tonight. It was just the way you guys came out tonight.
Yeah, we didn't bring it, the other night. So You know, we knew we had to come in tonight and just kind of redeem ourselves. That's how this league works. You know, it's going to be nights where, you know, things is just not going your way. But the best thing about this league is a day later you have a game, you know, or maybe 2 nights later you have another one, you know. And it's all about how you come back. That's what it's all about. And, you know, we showed a lot of character tonight, came out, played together, and put out a big win. I was just trying to, you know, take whatever the defense kind of gave me, you know. You know, my teammates did an unbelievable job at, you know, just setting great screens for me. You know, Taj and Mitch, even Julius, you know, they set some great screens for me, and I was able to, you know, get to my pull-up. They was just dropping.
Chemistry.
It is. It is a thing. It is a thing. I believe it. You know, it's all about, you know, knowing. You know, sometimes, you know, you can hold a screen. Sometimes you can get out of the screen. You know, it's all about knowing. And, you know, we're still trying to build that chemistry, you know. Tonight was one of those nights where you needed to hold the screen. You know, I'm sorry. It's all right. But, yeah, you know, they did. They held the screens. And, you know, a few of us was able to get into those shots and knock them down. It's okay.
What did it feel like in the second quarter when you knocked down those 4 straight shots? Turning the game, and how did you feel?
I was waiting for that moment. You know, it was the kind of moment I've dreamed of when I was a young kid, you know, wanting to be in the NBA, you know, watching the Knicks play, you know, coming to, you know, a Knicks game and seeing how the crowd goes crazy. That was a great moment for me.
You could tell they were kind of waiting for it too. I don't know if players in here, the fans very much, but it seemed like obviously there's people loving it. New York, it was like once you hit 2 or 3, that crowd was pretty into it.
Yeah, they was excited. Not more excited than me, but they were definitely excited. But it was fun. You know, hopefully we can have more moments like that. You know, it was just such a great team win. You know, everybody contributed in many different ways, and that's how New York basketball is. You know, everybody, you know, brings us together. You know, it was fun. It was a great overall win.
5 guys who don't play good. How much of a weapon can that be over the course of the season?
It can be a great weapon. You know, just thinking it'd be hard for teams to stop. You know, whenever we're sharing a ball like that, it just makes it makes it hard for anybody, for any team. You know, whenever you can have multiple guys in double digits, it just makes the game a lot easier. It just takes pressure off a lot of the guys. You know, especially guys like Julius. You know, who kind of has to do a lot sometimes. You know, that's what we're here for. You know, we want to take a lot of pressure off him. You know, get him some easy opportunities, and then play off him as well. You know, so yeah.
Was it good to get that breakout? Because I know it's only been 4 games in the season, but the first 3 games weren't probably what you were expecting from yourself, maybe? Is that fair to say?
No, not really. I mean, it's a long season, you know. This is my first couple months with the team. I wouldn't say a relief, but it definitely felt good. And, you know, it's going to be games where, you know, I do score like that, maybe even more. It's going to be games where I don't. It's going to be games where Derek is playing super well. He's going to stay in the game. You know, it just is what it is. You know, we have so much, you know, where you can leave guys on the court. And it's going to be games where I'm not going to get back on the court, you know, just because guys are playing super well. And I have no problem with that, especially D Rose. I mean, the youngest MVP ever. Like, he's playing super well. And I want him to continue to play well. Yeah, we just gonna feed off of each other, you know.
Memories when you maybe see a familiar face in the crowd and from right. So.
Oh yeah, I seen a lot of familiar faces in the crowd for sure. My old coach is in the crowd tonight. I've seen some guys from high school in the crowd tonight. Just growing up playing in the Garden, it definitely brought back a lot of memories. And D Rose is a guy who I actually played against in high school in the Garden. So, for us to be in the same team right now is pretty dope.
You okay? We didn't talk to you after the Orlando game.
Mm-hmm.
Were you okay with how the minutes broke out? Because I know you didn't sit the last.
Yeah. What can I say? I'm a team player, man. I'm a team player, and if coach makes that decision, I got to live with it. What can I say? As long as he's firm in his decision, I could care less. He was trying to win, and like I said, D Rose is playing well. You know what? That was the choice he made, and I live with it.
Speaking of how cool is it that Knicks and the Bulls are both good now playing each other?
Oh man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Those guys are playing very, very well. And it's gonna be a dogfight for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Kemba Walker. And I really do like that. He's just not afraid to be like, hey, this is Derrick Rose out there, and if I gotta come off the, not come off the bench, if I gotta play less minutes, I really don't care. It's all about the team. And they seem, everybody really does seem to be like that on this team. Now, Steph, do you think Kemba Walker is due to have a little bit of a run? Did this kind of break it out for him, you think? And maybe he'll have a little bit of a run, get a little bit hot.
Yeah, I think so, and I hope so. That's what I was thinking when he was going on his run. I was like, oh, wow, Kemba is back, and this is, what I envisioned from him. So, again, the only concern I have, Sim, was how he got the shots. They were mostly threes. If he mixed it up a little bit, I would feel even more excited. But, it's going to happen from time to time. I don't know if it's going to be an every game thing.
Right.
But it's going to happen from time to time.
Right.
And him being out there, they have to respect him. So that still, is a plus for us in terms of spacing.
Yeah, definitely. Nate?
So, a lot of things I'm thinking right now. So you had mentioned about Kemba, how, when you get older, you have to kind of adjust your game. The great players have all adjusted their game. Kobe was one player. He used to be super athletic, and then he became more of a shooter, in his later years. Kemba with the bad knees, I don't see the pop anymore. I think that's one of the big reasons why Boston was more willing to let him go, because they just didn't see that pop anymore in his game. He is more of a jump shooter, and he is more of a guy who hopefully will get better at shooting the three. I think him coming off the screens is probably going to be his best shot, because he's been doing that since his collegiate years, when he would come off the screen and shoot the three or shoot the jumper. Mm-hmm. To expect Kemba to be consistent in the season is going to be hard to ask, because if the shot's not falling, he's going to have bad games. Let's just be real. I mean, he's not really quick at getting to the cup anymore as he used to be. Plus, he's 6 foot or 5'11", so he's going to get blocked a lot of times by these bigger guards. So the thing is that we're just going to have to accept Kemba for what he is. He's 31 years old. If he's going to have games where he can shoot over 20 points in a game for us, great. Let's hope we win. But I would like him to be at least consistent around the 10 to 12 mark a game. I think that would be fair to ask, and around 5 assists and maybe a steal or two. But we'll have to see. I mean, with both of these point guards, Derrick Rose is playing phenomenal right now, but Derrick Rose is also older too, and on bad knees. So, there's going to be games where he's going to be good, and there's going to be games where he's not going to be good. So hopefully if he's not good, Walker's good. And if Walker's not good, Rose is good.
Right.
So that's kind of what he's saying, is that we'll play off each other. So we'll just have to see what happens.
And
it's still early.
You know what I like about Derrick Rose? When he's on the floor, in my opinion, I feel like plays like an all-star. You know what I'm saying? He may not be making all-star teams, but when he's on the floor, he's an all-star player, I feel like. He can give you all-star production. He may not get enough minutes to make the all-star team, but I definitely think he gives you all-star production. And I think that goes a long way. You don't need to have all your players to be on on the all-star team. But when they're on the floor, if you got a bunch of players that's giving you all-star production when they're on the floor for the amount of minutes that they're on the floor, that's huge for your team. And I think Derrick Rose is a guy that can give you that.
And I think it's the mentality. He used to be a former MVP, and you don't lose that grit and that fight in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And Derrick Rose knows that this bench only goes as far as me. So he's the star of the bench, and he's the sixth man of this team. And if you need to throw him into the starting lineup, he can do that too. So he knows that when his time is to shine, he goes in, he does his job, and he's either going to do it good or he's going to, maybe not do it good. But so far, he's been good.
Yeah.
He's very efficient as well.
Very. He was efficient the first time he came and played with us.
But that three-point shot has really been improved.
It is.
You
really
mentioned
improved.
that's a huge part of his game that we have not seen Derrick Rose, and as far as I know, in his whole career, shoot the three that well.
Yeah. Let me get to this phone call real quick. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
This is Ron from Still Knicks Fans.
Ron, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm good. Just wanted to say salute to y'all. Salute Steph. Salute Nate. Podfather Sim. Appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you, man. I didn't get a chance to talk to you last night about the game. How you feeling? Then I'm going to transition to something else with you right here on the phone. I want to get your thoughts on it. Go ahead.
All right, sounds good. No, listen, man. I'll be honest. I was struggling yesterday. I had a meeting. I was stuck at work, and I missed like a little bit of the first half. And then when I got home, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready to see some Knicks. I didn't realize the Knicks was playing on TNT or TBS, one of them Turner channels. I couldn't even catch it because I don't got them stations on my cable. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, I was struggling. So, but
I would have bootlegged it. I would have bootlegged it. I'm sorry, I would have had to do it.
Yeah, no, I did. I went to the NBA Network, and I picked up something on the NBA Network, and I was able to see the Philadelphia feed. So I saw the game, but it was like I was looking down on the court. So I was looking down at the players, and I was watching them, but there was no sound. But I saw the whole second half.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what was your thoughts?
And from what I saw, Mitch was getting it, man. Mitch said, Mitch is serious about trying to win this Defensive Player of the Year, or at least be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm with it.
He's definitely going out there, and he's commanding the paint. This is what I wanted him to do. I've been having this whole thing about Mitch saying, I want Mitch to give me a double-double every game, at least try to, and give me at least 2 blocks. But what we saw last night against the 76ers is, and he had no blocks, by the way, he doesn't actually need blocks to affect the game on the defensive end. He's just that big of a presence.
Right. He doesn't. As long as he can stop a guy from even throwing up a shot because of his presence, he's done his job.
Right. He's definitely altering the game. Like Mitch, look, I don't know, Knicks fans. If y'all out there and y'all was thinking we needed Mitch last year against Atlanta, you are damn right. And we're seeing it right now. Mitch is out there with his confidence. He's doing his thing. He's got a little more weight on him. Now he feels like he can stand next to Embiid and not have to get bowled over. Like, this is a new Mitch, man. We got this Mitch, along with the way Derrick Rose is playing, how the Knicks moved the ball last night, the three-point shooting. Just, when we play like this, there's no team that we have to worry about losing to. We beat ourselves. If we play like this and we lose, something crazy happened that we did to ourselves.
Okay. All right. So you know what? You're transitioning me right into my next thought. After watching the Knicks play last night, are you readjusting where you think they are in the Eastern Conference?
Oh, man.
Are you readjusting it? After we've seen them play these first 3 games, are you readjusting?
Oh, boy.
Because me and a lot of people had them being like, around the 5th or 6th seed. Is it too early to make that readjustment?
Honestly, I already had them. I thought that they were going to be a 4th seed. So after watching how they played the 76ers, And mind you, let me just preface this real quick by saying I thought the Knicks were going to go 8-2 in the first 10 games.
Okay.
But that's clean, like not knowing. That's before we played any games, just going off record. But as games go along, different things happen. The team may be playing worse, or they may be playing better, so you start to feel differently. I expected the Knicks to lose to the Bulls tomorrow. I already had it written down. But now, after the way they came out and played against the 76ers, I'm thinking they can beat the Bulls. I still think they're going to go 8-2 in this 10-game span. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is a third seed to me. I think the Knicks got the third seed. I think they're one of the better teams in the East. And if they keep playing like this, they may even be a 2 seed. But I definitely think they got the third seed now. They moved up from 4th to 3rd.
Okay, so who's the first two? Brooklyn and Milwaukee?
Yeah, Brooklyn and Milwaukee. Milwaukee's number 1. Okay. Brooklyn's going to get it together. I know everybody's joyous and happy that they're going through such dysfunction and they don't look like a really great team with all those pieces. But, this is the NBA, and veterans and star players figure it out. So they'll be right there at the end.
Okay, all right. I think they will, too. I think they'll be there at the end. They got too much talent on the team not to be there at the end. So you got the Knicks jumping over Philadelphia. What about other teams in the Eastern Conference, the Miamis, teams like that? What are we jumping over them as well? No. We
leapfrog in Miami. Miami's right there, though. Miami, I think Miami takes the 4th spot, and the one I don't want to talk about, I think the Bulls take the 5th spot.
Okay. It's going to be interesting, man.
What about Atlanta now?
Yeah, what about Atlanta?
Oh, that's right. I did forget about Atlanta. That was on purpose, Steph. You caught that. Yeah. You know what? Let me be fair. Let's be real. Atlanta's still a very good basketball team, and they are what the Knicks are trying to build. Let's just be frank. What they showed us something last year, and we kind of replicated what they got going on. Yeah, I'm going to change that. I agree. So I still got Miami 4. I'll put Atlanta 5 and the Bulls 6 because Atlanta is a little better to me than the Bulls. The Bulls look really good out there, a lot of continuity. They're running up and down the court looking nice, but they haven't played anybody yet. So until they do that against the better teams in the NBA, I'm not going to give them all their kudos yet.
Okay. All right. I want to ask you about Charlotte, though. What about Charlotte?
Charlotte looks good, but Charlotte is a pretender to me. I'm sorry. I don't want to be that guy, but I like the team. I think they're going to be exciting. They're going to be fun to watch. They're passionate, they're hungry, but that don't make them better than the other teams I mentioned. They can beat up on the rest of the league, and they'll be right in there. They definitely moved up. I think they're in the playoff hunt. They probably could get to the 7th seed and avoid the play-in, but I could also see them going into the play-in and then coming out of that play-in, in a good position. So, It all depends, but I'm not worried about Charlotte. Charlotte's a good team, and they could steal a win from the Knicks throughout the season. Let's not sleep. They can definitely beat us on one of those nights, but I'm not worried about them.
They can. They did last year, I believe, right?
Yes, sir.
Listen.
Yes, they
they're
did.
Second in the league.
And that team wasn't this team.
Yeah, they're second in the league in points per game right now at 121.2. They're 5th in assists at 27. Right, opponents are scoring 116 points on them, but they're outscoring those guys by 5 points per game. I mean, they're putting up some decent numbers so far. Very young in the season, but they're putting up some decent numbers. I don't know exactly who they beat so far, this season, but I know they won tonight. Yeah. They beat Orlando tonight, 120-111.
I'd have to look at the level of competition, who they're playing, because regardless of what they're doing to other teams, that number that they're giving up, 116 points, if they give up that number to the Knicks, they might be in trouble because the Knicks is not giving up more than 116 to a lot of teams in the NBA, and I don't expect them to give it up to Charlotte either. So yeah, maybe they can do some really impressive things against other teams in the league that don't play the type of defense the Knicks play. But
the
certain
Knicks
teams like Atlanta with all that firepower and the Bulls, they're gonna have to worry.
They beat Indiana.
Okay.
They beat Cleveland. They beat Brooklyn. They lost to Boston in overtime. That game went to overtime, and they beat Orlando. I saw Charlotte play a few times. Charlotte is a good team. This Eastern Conference is going to be tight. I'm not saying the Knicks won't be the 3rd or 4th seed, but they're going to have to earn it because there's not going to be any gimmies on this schedule.
That Charlotte team's a lot more improved than they were last year.
And what's his name is having a breakout season. Bridges, he scored like 30 points in 3 games straight.
And LaMelo, and they added Oubre, and they got some dogs in that team.
And Ish Smith is playing out of his mind too.
He always plays well everywhere he goes. I love that guy. I wish we had him back up.
Bridges, to slap the New York Knicks in the face. Another guy to slap the Knicks in the face. Bridges is averaging 26 points, 8 rebounds per game right now.
He was player of the week, too.
Wow. Those are all-star numbers right there.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
I mean, that's actually a really look. I don't want to take nothing away because I don't know. When we did our prediction, I mentioned Charlotte as one of those teams that's going to be in the mix. I don't. If the Knicks didn't come out this year, because usually whenever I'm looking at any of these teams, I'm just worried about, can the Knicks beat them? Do we have to worry about them? Yeah, we got to worry about them, but I don't think it's a team that we can't beat. Any given night we play them, we should be able to beat them if we play the right way.
Right.
Because our offense right now has showed me that now we're a team that can put up the points. Last year, I would have been it's kind of like a tale of two cities. If this Charlotte team was playing our Knicks last year, I would have been very worried because I don't think we can hang with them on the scoring end. Even if we tried to stop on defense, they might beat us by 2 points or 3 points to win the game. This year, I think that they're giving up points, and we're going to be, at that clip where we can score around 110 to 115 when we play them, and then keep them at our, proverbial 105 or less. So I like it. I like the matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun game to watch. The New York Knicks right now, we're 3rd in the league in scoring. We're averaging 118.8 points per game. We're holding teams to 109.8 points per game. And we're 8th in the league in assists at 26.3. So, yeah, that's going to be fun.
That's beautiful.
That's going to.
And you know what's the best part about that, Sim?
What's that?
We are not clicking on all cylinders on defense yet.
That's true.
We are not full strength on defense yet.
That's true.
You got a lot of faith in this defense, Ron? I don't have a lot of faith in this defense, I got to say.
What?
I mean, we're 14th right now. It's still early. We're 14th right now. We don't have great perimeter defenders.
Who are we missing on this defense to make it better?
Yeah, we got Mitch back there to clean it up. But this is not last year's defense by any stretch. We look good against Philly, but that perimeter defense is an issue, and it's going to remain an issue.
You're right. I agree with you on that. And Nate, who do we have back there on the perimeter? You're right. All we have right now, at least so far that we've seen in this short season, is RJ. And RJ hasn't necessarily shown that lockdown behavior in every game.
Correct.
He's shown spurts of it. So you're right that we have a little concern there. But think about it like this. Burks hasn't been playing the greatest defense. I think he's kind of been a little slow and I think he's a much better defender than what he showed so far. He's not Bullock, but he's a little better than what he showed. And I think that some of the guys on the team like Kemba and Fournier are still trying to learn their way. And Rose has made, some mental lapses when it comes to defense as far as boxing out guys, certain guards getting rebounds, like Cole Anthony dropping, getting 16 rebounds against us. Certain things like that shouldn't be happening on a normal basis. So I think that type of stuff will be cleaned up. And overall, that's going to help our overall defensive output. Not to mention, I still think Nerlens Noel is a big part of this team. I hope that he gets healthy soon because his defense is different than Mitch's defense. He's a lot more aggressive in the paint area, and his blocks, his timing is better than Mitch. I've said it already in the past, and I still think that holds true. When he gets out there healthy, he is going to make a big difference for this team. Then you got to worry about Noel and Mitch, and that 1-2 punch and that defensive anchor down low, that's going to be a problem. I think that's going to change everything.
It is, and they're going to need to be an anchor because they're going to have a lot of things coming at them.
Exactly, especially the point guards.
they're
Be
going to need
cooking on
to.
the point guards
They're
we
going to
have
need it.
now.
So
We haven't even got to the good point guards yet, man. They're coming. You'll really see how good those defensive point guards we have.
Yeah, I mean,
and then my concern is when the shots are not falling.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we fall back on the defense?
Right.
Have to. We're gonna have to if we want to win. We're not making shots.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna put a lot of trust and try to put a lot of trust into Tibbs and his defensive schemes.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna. What do you think, Ron? I'm gonna ask you this, and then I'll let you go. All right. And that's well, I'm only gonna be on for another 10 minutes or so, because Tony Crow is supposed to come on and do a Knicks and Bruises at 10:55. So we're gonna try to push people over there.
All right, cool.
What do you think about the Knicks playing some zone to try to cover up our lack of perimeter defense?
I like it. I think the Knicks need to kind of, do different things to incorporate schemes that, first off, Thibodeau, I mean, he's a great, defensive coach. His schemes are bar none, some of the best in the league already. And if he wants to try to introduce a zone or different looks at a zone to help them disguise what's going on with our guards, definitely. I think you got to do it. I think you're going to need to do it. Like was just mentioned by the guys about the whole fact that when we play these teams and the shots ain't falling, what are we going to do? Because I think that's the biggest issue we're going to have. Those are the games that, it's a loss. This is how I look at it backwards. Those games where the shots aren't falling, we're playing a team that is, a decent team in the NBA and they're doing well against us, it's a loss, right? Now, throughout the course of the game, you can change that into a win, but you got to fight for it. And I think that a zone might definitely help a guy like Kemba if he just has to hit certain spots and just worry about that certain spot.
Right.
And then knowing that zones kind of cover up the when a person gets beat off the dribble, the way it moves kind of helps you out, gives you a little bit more help in certain areas. That might work. That might be the key. And, I don't know if you envision a certain type of zone that you have in mind that you've seen, Sin, because I know you coach. But, yeah, I like that.
I mean, I think it would help out a lot. I mean, any kind of zone, a 2-3. I don't want to say any kind of zone. Probably a 2-3 zone in the NBA, in my opinion, is probably going to be the best zone that you can play because you can easily transition to man-to-man defense if you need to or if you want to. You know what I mean? Play a 2-3 zone. You still got guys under the basket so you can rebound the basketball. You're guarding that three-point line. You got helpers to help to cut off the penetration lanes. It might help Kemba out just a little bit. Steph, what do you think about that?
Might be it. Might be the
I agree. Do you know Tibbs to ever use? I know he hasn't used a zone with the Knicks. I don't remember with Chicago and Minnesota, but I think it would definitely help. Definitely help. I would like to see that.
Yeah, I don't know or remember Tibbs to actually use a zone, but you never know. You know what? I didn't think that he was going to. I didn't think the Knicks were going to come out and be averaging, right now 38 threes a game or something like that. Games, just the other day it was 47 that they were averaging per game. I didn't think the Knicks were going to change their offense so drastically and shoot so many threes this year either. Because that's not like Tom Thibodeau. So. Much like Tom Coughlin with the Giants way back in the day, switched up his coaching style.
Right.
Giants won a Super Bowl.
Have to adjust.
Giants won a Super Bowl doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I just put that out there in the air. But, I'm not going to go full-blown evergreen just yet. But, when I'm looking at this team, I'm like, man, we could be good, man. We could be good if we have some really good pieces and a lot of depth, that makes it tough for teams to stop us, but I'm not going full evergreen just yet.
No, I hear you. No, I like the idea, and I hope the Knicks continue to try to implement these different things like zone and also the guards pick up their defensive intensity and try to do different things to help the rest of the team, like boxing out your guards, not letting your guards be on the boards, rebounding the ball like they've been doing in recent past. Last night, they did a much better job at that. They were swarming, so I like what I saw. Well, I'm not trying to keep y'all. Let me get up out of here, but I just want to say salute to y'all once again. Definitely check us out. Still Knicks fans, we in the building. Steph, I want to apologize to you, in person. When we did our shout out on our show on Monday, we did a shout out about, the content creators. We mentioned you, but I wasn't able to get your logo at the time to put it up. You and Uncle Fulio, but y'all definitely in our hearts. So
that's fine. Appreciate it. Not a problem.
Yeah.
All
Ron,
right.
I appreciate you, man.
I'm holler at you, Sam. Take it easy, y'all.
Have a good one.
All righty.
Do you think, Steph, have the Knicks put the league on notice after beating Philadelphia? Did they put the league on notice? Or because Philadelphia is going through so many issues right now, do they need to do it to Chicago? Or is it going to be that Milwaukee game on November the 5th?
I think we put the league on notice, and I think the train just keeps rolling along. I think the next stop is Chicago. I was listening to Gmo's show. Shout out to him. He had a Chicago Bull fan in there with the Chicago gear on a panel talking about the Knicks need this game to beat somebody 4-0 to prove that we're for real, something like that. And I think it's the other way around. Chicago needs this win so that they can prove that they for real after those cupcakes they beat up on. So, yeah, I mean, the Knicks are for real, and we rolling into Chicago. I think we get that game. Listen, Milwaukee lost to Minnesota tonight. So that's Milwaukee is a gettable game. I mean, the Knicks can beat anybody on any given night, for sure. We're talking about one game.
Yeah, especially after Chicago not making the playoffs and then beating up on some cupcake teams. Yeah, it's probably them who has to prove that they're for real in being 4-0.
Right, exactly. We only one game behind, you know?
Right. Nate, what do you think? Knicks put the league on notice by beating up on Philly? Or they still got some wins to get before
they still got some wins to get. I mean, we look at their wins. They beat a Boston team that's not very good this year. The Sixers got a lot of issues right now that I mentioned earlier with internal and external issues. They need scoring. They have a lot of stuff going on. And we beat an Orlando team that's not even going to make the playoffs. I need to see more from this team. I do believe this Bulls team is going to be a good barometer going forward, and then looking at their schedule, we'll see. It's still early. I mean, I think this is a good team, but am I ready to put them in one of the top 3? Not yet. I need to see them against the Miamis. I need to see them against the Bulls, even the Hornets. I need to see more competition with them.
Okay. All right. I get it. Looking at their upcoming schedule, right? When we look at their upcoming schedule, I want you to tell me, Nate, which game do you think the Knicks get this win will be a signature win in the early season? All right, we'll just talk about early season. That makes everyone say, okay, this is, here it is, right? Right now, they play Chicago on Thursday, tomorrow. Saturday, they play the Pelicans. Then they're home against Toronto. Then they're away against Indiana. And then they're in Milwaukee.
The Milwaukee game.
That Milwaukee game?
Yeah, I mean, they're the defending champions. Giannis is on another tear this year, probably up in the MVP talks already. He had 40 points last night in a loss. So, yeah, I mean, if it's in Milwaukee and we go in and let's say we win by 10 points, let's just say, I mean, that's a statement win, in my opinion, against the defending champs, against arguably one of the better teams that you're going to see in the playoffs. If you go into their house and you win, let's say by 10 points or 5, or let's say 5 or 10, yeah, that's a statement win for me. I mean, I do think Chicago is going to be a good start. If you beat Chicago in the road, then yes, they're going to be clamoring because the Bulls have not lost yet. But Milwaukee to me is big time because you go into their house, defending champions, and you beat up on a Giannis-led team.
Okay. Now, what if they lose this game on November the 5th and then turn around and beat them at home on Wednesday, November the 10th? Milwaukee, I'm talking about.
Milwaukee?
Yeah.
So if they lose to Chicago and they beat Milwaukee?
No, if they lose, just skipping over, going to the Milwaukee game. If they lose to Milwaukee when they go to Milwaukee, and then they beat them at home.
I mean, again, it's a good team. It's the best team that is the defending champion. So I mean, whether they're on your court or their court, I mean, you go in and beat a Giannis-led team. I mean, that's a statement win in my opinion.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, so it sounds to me like you're kind of like, hey, they need to beat a Milwaukee, a Brooklyn to really be
Sure. I mean, yeah, Miami. We need to see them against probably the big dogs in the playoffs.
Yeah, we haven't seen them against those guys yet. Did they? Have they put the league on notice? I think some people are paying attention. I do. Looking at their numbers right now, I think there's some teams in the league that are paying attention to the Knicks.
I will say this: putting a beat down on the Sixers, even though they are a dysfunctional team right now, putting a beat down and putting them almost up by 30. Beating them by 30 at one point, that is impressive because even with Joel Embiid, who's a beast inside, I mean, being up by 30, that's impressive. So, I'm sure there are people that took some notice, but they didn't really talk about it after the.
No,
game
I mean, listen, they may not have. I don't care about the ESPNs and all that. I'm talking about teams around the league, general managers, coaches around the league. I think they're probably looking and saying, you know what, watch out for this team.
Sim, I'll go as far as this. So. They were on this last year. Last year, we were on notice, and we've been on notice even in the playoffs where we struggled with Julius Randle coming back, adding Evan Fournier, adding Kemba Walker, bringing back Derrick Rose. You have to put this team on notice because they're a better team. They're a deeper team, and nobody's really talking about them.
Yeah, okay. My man Bruce D, he said, man, this podcast needs a time spot on the MSG channel. James Dolan, anyone that's with the New York Knicks organization, if you're watching and you just heard that, you know how to get in contact with me. Let me get to one more phone call, and then we'll go around and get to just some last words. Of course, tomorrow we're going to be doing a pregame show. Okay, so be on the lookout for that notification. Let me get to this phone call here, and then we'll let you get out of here and get on over to Knicks and Bruises. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Yo, what's up?
What's going on?
Look, I'll just call to tell you, look, man, D-Rose dropping 40 tomorrow.
All right.
It is what it is, man. He's going to drop 40, and then I'm going to call back at the Are y'all going to do a post game tomorrow?
We're going to do a post game tomorrow, without a doubt.
All right, because I think it was a couple days ago. Y'all ain't do a post game. I'm looking for it.
Yeah.
Man, D-Rose going to drop a 40-piece tomorrow, man. We're going to get the dub. Salute.
Okay. Hey, you know what? I was on the road the other day. We was all over the place. It was a little bit hectic last week, so we weren't able to get on and do the post game. But we'll be doing the post game tomorrow, without a doubt.
All right, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. Appreciate your time. All right. I want that 40 piece from Derrick Rose. We need. I don't want him to have to do it all the time, but I wouldn't mind him doing it in Chicago. And by the way, Derrick Rose, right now in a very young season, he's shooting 47.6% from the field and 57.9% from three.
Sixth man of the year.
And 85.7% from the free throw line. He's always been a high, free throw shooter anyway, but yeah, he's hoping, he's balling. Steph, any last words?
I think the Knicks win in. I think the Knicks win in Chicago. I think, our defense will be okay, and our shots have to fall. Listen, they haven't played anybody, but that doesn't mean they're a bad team. They could just be a good team that just hasn't played anybody.
Right.
So we gotta be on it tomorrow. I believe we will be. I believe we get this one.
Okay, all right, and Nate.
Yeah, I agree with Steph. I do think the Knicks do get a win tomorrow. I think our defense will prevail because we are a better defensive team than Chicago is. We'll hold Chicago down, and it'll be a good game. It'll be a good dogfight. And just want to give a shout out to Josh. Told me to give him a shout out on here to check out The Controversy.
Yes.
He had a show today, so definitely check out his show. And look forward for tomorrow. It'll be fun.
Yeah, no doubt. Josh, Uncle Fulio, I was just about to mention him. He said, Sim, James Dolan doesn't like me. He's not the only one, Josh. He's not the only one. No, I'm just joking. But yes, go check out the controversy. You know, Josh, kind of had, spoke about some of the same things, but went into a few more things, and talking about the Knicks and if they put the league on notice. Nick-ish was on the show, so make sure you go check that out. It was a pretty good show. I think you guys will enjoy it. I just put the link to Knicks and Bruises in the YouTube chat, so go ahead on over there and check that out, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get up out of here. All right. I thank you for joining us here on the Shoot Around presented by SeatGeek. Use the code NBK and get $20 off of your first purchase. That's more than $50, ladies and gentlemen. We're out of here. I appreciate you. Look for that notification for the pregame show tomorrow. Be peaceful. Spread love. We out.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Nick.